Hi guys, so today I am making gardener soap, and this one has goat milk in it, and it also has kokum butter, which is a really wonderful butter. I love this. It makes this soap really soft, like it's moisturizing to your skin, but it also makes a really strong hard bar because the kokum butter is one of the harder butters that comes from nature. So it's a nice hard butter to work with. Makes the bar of soap really long lasting and wonderful, especially if you're gardening. That's a nice thing because tend to wash your hands a lot when you're gardening. Anyway, I just mixed in the lye water into my oils. This is colored with spirulina powder, which is an algae it's a blue-green algae that's found in the oceans and lakes of the world. It also has trace amino acids and minerals in spirulina powder, so a lot of times you'll find that in smoothies that people drink. So it's a good natural color. It doesn't really make the soap a bright color. It looks really green here, but once it cures, it's not that bright a color. It's a natural color, so it's just kind of a light green when it cures out. This soap also has ground loofah, and you'll see me putting that in once the soap gets to trace, which I am mixing the lye and the oils together. Once that gets to trace, which is where the soap thickens up enough, it has a chemical reaction where it creates soap, so it's kind of getting thicker. Once it gets thick enough, then I'll mix in the loofah, the ground loofah powder. And I like to use the ground loofah just because it seems to distribute through the soap evenly, so when you cut the bar, it has loofah all the way through the soap instead of just a big chunk of loofah, which tends to be harder to use. Okay, so I'm just cleaning out my stick blender here, getting all of those little pieces of soap. This soap also has Dead Sea clay in it, and I already mixed that in when I mixed the spirulina powder. So now you can see how nice and thick this soap batter is getting, which is just perfect because I want the ground loofah to distribute evenly, not sink all to the bottom, not get stuck on the top. So we're gonna mix the loofah in, and I tend to just eyeball it. I give it a couple good handfuls in there until it looks like it has enough, and then I mix it in. So this is scented with essential oils. It has lavender, sage, cedarwood, litsea, cubea, and lemon essential oil. And this smells really good. This is crazy, but it kind of reminds me of being at my grandma's house in the summer. And she was a really big gardener, and she also had lots of flowers, and it just kind of smells fresh, like summer. And she lived on a farm, so she's out in the country. It smells good. Alright, I'm gonna pour that into the soap mold. And the reason I like to use goat milk, it's really moisturizing on your skin. I get my goat milk locally, so it's a local product that I put in my soap. And goat milk is actually one of the milks that is closest to the pH, or the pH is very similar to human skin. So it's good for your skin. I mean, it's good for your skin. It's not gonna cure your issues, but it can help. And especially if you're gardening, again, you wash your hands a ton. At least I do. I wash my hands all the time because I make soap. I like having clean hands. And so it's very moisturizing. And then you have that kokum butter, which is also really nice and moisturizing, but it makes the bar extra hard. So some of the other butters I like to use, like mango butter, they make a softer soap bar, and I decided to use kokum butter just because it is such a hard butter, and it would make a nice hard bar of soap. So I'm just getting the rest of that soap batter into the mold, trying to make it nice and even. And at the end of this video, I will demonstrate how this bar suds is up. Is that a word? Suds is? How this bar makes suds. And the batter you can see how it's getting kind of thick. And that is from the kokum butter. Because it is a harder butter, it does make the batter get thicker faster. Also, all of that loofah doesn't help. And then the essential oils, some of them that I use, they tend to increase the speed at which the soap sets up. Alright, so we're getting close to the end here. The thing that's amazing about this soap is that it looks like this, and it looks like it's never going to fit in the mold, and then this soap gets really, really hot. I think it's the cedarwood essential oil or the sage, I'm not sure which one, or it could be the lavender, because I've had lavender get really hot, and when you mix it with goat milk, you're going to get a really hot bar of soap. And what I mean when I say hot is that it will start to saponify, and the temperature increases, and so the bar kind of goes through a chemical change. Oh, now we're going to cut it. All right. Okay, so now we are going to cut these bars of soap. That went really fast. And here we go. So this is my soap cutter. It cuts the bars at 1.5 inches thick, and I bought this on a cutter on Etsy. And the reason I like to use a 1.5 bar cutter is because I like a nice thick chunky bar of soap. So I'm just smoothing the edges off. Sometimes there's a little bit of roughness on the bottom part where the wires cut it. I'm just going to smooth that off, and then there's the first cut bar. So here's another one. And you can see a little bit of that spirulina didn't get mixed all the way in, but as the soap cures, that kind of fades out. So it all fades to one color. And here we go. Sometimes the spirulina floats up to the top, especially when it gets hot. Like I was saying before, the soap will increase its temperature and then it will cool down. And the nice thing about it's called gel phase. A gel phase, it makes the soap a lot harder if your soap can survive the gel phase. There's all kinds of things that can happen. It can crack, volcano, and none of those things are good. It can also separate if it gets too hot, so you can have separation where it's a liquid and a solid. It doesn't ever become a solid bar. None of those things are good, so you have to keep a close eye on soaps that get hot. Alright, so we almost have the bars cut, and then I will move on to stamping them with my logo. Just smoothing this last one off. And there is the little sample part. Okay, so now I'm going to stamp it, and this stamp I bought from Laser Cut. It's an acrylic stamp. I would recommend the metal stamps if you're going to get one. And I'm just spritzing with a little alcohol just to smooth out the top, and there it is. Cut bar of soap.